What's up guys, CEO here with the PU Battlegrounds championship game between myself and Flooka, coach of the Hamilton Rai-Cats. If you guys watched earlier in the season, I think it was a couple weeks ago, Flooka and I actually battled already and he 4-0'd me, so even though I entered this game 5-1 and he enters this game 4-2, I don't think of myself as being the better team in this at all, I guess, because Flooka's got a lot of very scary stuff, and while my team feels pretty solid most weeks, this is the one team that I was planning over the course of the thing where I was like, wow, I kind of have a lot to prep for in addition to the stuff that I want to bring. So heading into it, I didn't really want to change things a ton from last time, beyond kind of changing what I wanted my focus sweeper to be. I didn't really focus as much on the first time on Rabombi and Flygon as much as I probably should have. I kind of overly focused on Sock and Linoon to an extent. I'm still very terrified of Linoon, but I actually brought better stuff for it this time, I think, than I did last time. So, getting into my team, first up we have Choice Scarf Mismagius with Foul Play, Shadow Ball, Psychic, and Memento. Choice Scarf Mismagius completely walls Linoon, and for some reason I didn't bring it last time, because Linoon's base 100, but Mismagius, at least when it's Jolly, is 105. And if Linoon has a Belly Drum up, normally I just Belly Drum Extreme Speed sweeps through a team. Since Mismagius is a ghost type, it would actually have to go for Shadow Claw, which means it's relying on its base 100 speed, at which point a Foul Play will just decimate it to fucking back because it's a +4 Linoon and it's not living that. If other things get out of hand, such as Rabombi or something, I can also use Memento and -2/-2 its attack and special attack as I kill myself, and then go into one of my other sweepers or something. Next up is Steelix, the co-MVP of the PU Battleground. To kind of highlight it a little bit more, I wanted to bring a set that I haven't brought at all this season. I realized pretty much every other game I brought the standard Stealth Rock, Protect, whatever set. So this time I decided to actually bring Assault Vest Sheer Force. I saw Steelix had Sheer Force earlier in the season, wanted to run it, but I never really found an opportunity to. But between Earthquake, Iron Head, Rock Slide, and Crunch, that actually is fairly decent coverage for Flooka's team. Rock Slide doesn't really hit very much on the build that he brought, but I'll get into the stuff that he left behind later also. Next up is Kamala, who only came once this season, but I really wanted to bring a Banded Sleep Talk Last Resort set. Even though it's not exactly the best set in the world, and now that I'm looking at my EVs, I actually have Kamala as a Serious nature. If you don't know what Serious boosts, it's because Serious doesn't boost anything, so Kamala actually could have been either a little bit more powerful or a little bit faster than it is in this game. I didn't notice that until just now, but that's okay. So the set's still cool though, because if you don't know, Kamala's ability is Comatose, which basically means that it can't be statused and it's considered to be asleep at all times, or whatever. So what this means is that Kamala can actually always run Sleep Talk, and then just kind of have a move pulled randomly from its moveset. Alright, sorry about that, I got called away for a second. So the cool thing about Kamala with Sleep Talk is that it randomly rolls another move that it has, which normally isn't very helpful, but if you give Kamala a choice item, such as a choice band or even a slow choice scarf, it suddenly means that you're not actually locked into one move, so you can basically just roll whatever you have after it. I don't actually know who came up with this set, because I'm going to be honest, I didn't come up with this set, I saw it and I just I really want to try to use that one. But basically what this ends up meaning is that you can actually use Sleep Talk to roll your other move, Last Resort, which normally can't be used unless every other move you have has been used. So by using Sleep Talk, you automatically use every other move and you can just go straight for Last Resort, as well as using the Sleep Talk PP instead of the Last Resort PP, so instead of only having 8 Last Resorts, you actually have 16. It's a super cool set, and it honestly ends up actually hitting pretty hard. Normal type isn't really a great attacking type a lot of the time, but I noticed that Registeel was really the only thing that he had that wanted to switch into a normal type attack at all, and as you'll see later in the battle, it actually doesn't really want to at all. Next up is Archeops with Flyanium Z. It has Rock Slide, Earthquake, Endeavor, and Bounce. Mostly just offensive enough to be able to outrun, I believe it's max speed Sock, and then have a little bit of bulk also. Flyanium Z Bounce is just kind of meant to hit pretty much everything again except for Registeel, which is why I have Earthquake, which still ends up actually doing a pretty decent amount of damage even though I'm Jolly. Next up is Choice Scarf Blaziken with Flare Blitz, High Jump Kick, Brave Bird, and Earthquake. Max attack, max speed. Kind of standard set, but honestly Blaziken does what it does, and it just kind of comes in as a somewhat fast Scarfer with really good coverage and just gets to do whatever it wants to do. I haven't really used Blaziken a ton this season, but I do kind of want to shout it out as a really nice, solid, for us it's tier 4. I kind of want to shout it out as a good tier 4 fire type for those who haven't really used it before, because it is pretty interesting. But between Flare Blitz, High Jump Kick, Brave Bird, and Earthquake, I actually hit everything here. Flygon still is kind of annoying to switch into, but whatever. And finally we have Focus Sash Garbodor with Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Explosion, and Haze. Basically just meant to kind of do what it did last week against HBK, and if I need to get an emergency Haze off against one of his setup sweepers, I can do that. I don't really picture Registeel actually getting enough time this battle to set up rocks. If it does, then my Focus Sash obviously doesn't really mean anything. But with Spikes and Toxic Spikes, I'm basically just trying to kind of whittle down his stuff and at least try to break Focus Sashes or something. The only thing on this team that I would really think could be sashed would probably either be Sock or Rabombi, but it would be nice to be able to get some good entry hazard damage on them. So 7 minutes into this, I'm actually going to get going, and as a spoiler, I haven't watched this battle since doing it, so I'm going to have to kind of remind myself how it goes. So I lead Blaziken here because, like I kind of covered in the team preview, he doesn't really have anything that wants to switch into it. The only thing he can really go into here, predicting a high jump kick, because that's a fairly safe play for me now, is Rabombi, and Rabombi doesn't want to switch into a Flare Blitz. So he ends up U-turning, which shows me that he's actually Scarfed as well, I believe, if I remember right. And then he ends up going for, or I just went for a high jump kick because I figured he wasn't going to go hard Rabombi on me. I wonder if you were able to hear that burp in the post-com. So he ends up going Quagsire, which is fine. I don't really want to risk a high jump kick miss or protect right now because I know Quagsire likes to run Toxic Protect anyway. So predicting him to be pretty standard Quagsire because he shows leftovers, I decided to go Kamala, potentially out of Toxic. I take a Scald perfectly fine too, and I can't get burned because Comatose, which is another awesome thing. I didn't really bring Kamala very much this season, but it was always really kind of in the back of my mind as something that was nice to bring, and it was always really nice when I brought it, so just throwing that out there too, I guess. So Kamala's in, and it's in to do one thing, and that's click Sleep Talk Last Resort. So he goes Registeel, I'd go for Sleep Talk Last Resort, and it ends up actually being a 3-hit KO, at least before leftovers. I think if I would have been adamant, that probably would have been a 3-hit KO even with leftovers. So that was a little bit of a team prep mistake of mine that I didn't really notice until I was doing my team preview. But I can either stay in and go for another Last Resort and have a pretty solid 4-hit KO on this thing, which doesn't really have the most reliable recovery beyond leftovers, or I could just play it safe and get a switch out into my Garbodor while I still can before rocks get up. He ends up actually showing counter there, which is actually pretty perfect for me because that means my Focus Sash is even intact if he wants to go for Earthquake now. To be honest, I'm actually not sure if he would even knock me down to my Sash because I am max HP, and honestly Garbodor has fairly decent bulk, like 80, 82, 82, and HP defense and special defense isn't great, but it actually is surprisingly normally able to take one hit. So I figure I can start getting my entry hazards up now here, which is what I'm gonna do. I'll just go for Spikes first because it hits more stuff on his team, and then try to get a Toxic Spike up if I can. He goes Hardline Noon, which is very, very scary to me, because I was trying to hopefully get this thing poisoned before it came in. Kind of wishing I would have gotten Toxic Spike down first in this situation because it would have been nice to be able to whittle him down. But at this point, I can either go for a haze, or I can just straight up go for an explosion. Even if he has like a ground EMZ set or something, and he's not trying to be like an extreme speed belly drum or whatever, like even if he has ground EMZ, stomping tantrum or whatever, I should be able to live, and I'll definitely live because of my focus sash. So I just decided to, I could actually probably get another layer up if I wanted to, but I just go for the explosion because I don't want to deal with extreme speed Linoon at all. This right here makes me a little bit more reckless, I'll say, with my Mismagius, because I don't really think I need it as much anymore. So I just decided to go hard Mismagius now as he goes Rabombi and gets poisoned and takes the spikes damage. So even if he was sashed, it's broken now. Since he went Rabombi on the double down, in the game, if you don't know, when you both die, you both have to send stuff out at the same time, so you don't actually get like an advantage over that. It's not like because I died first, I got to send something out and then he went opposite of that. But anyway, since Mismagius is in and he doesn't really have a Shadow Ball switch in, I'm just going to go for it, because even against this thing, it's going to be a 2-hit KO. Even if, worst case scenario, he Quiver Dances, which he does, it's still going to easily 2-hit KO, so I'm just going to stay in and go for it. Mismagius, very, very good. I guess not very good, but very impressive for that Spit F to actually take that, because I'm not really invested at all. So being able to take a +1 Moonblast just because is kind of nice. So he goes Flygon now, and at this point, I don't really have like the best answers for Flygon. It wasn't really until Flygon kept coming in uninhibited by my hazards that I realized that I kind of under-prepped for Flygon. Like I should have at least put like HP Ice on this thing or something, so I could have just come in and hit it and killed it and been done with it. But I kind of rushed all of my teams this season, so I kind of ended up doing that for the last one too. But it's fun. I'm just going to stay in and go for the Shadow Ball. Given by that damage, HP Ice probably would have OHKO'd, but it's fine. He goes for Rock Slide and ends up killing because he lands, but now I know he's locked into it, so I can just get another free Sleep Talk Last Resort off. In hindsight, I probably should have just went Steelix, because I could have just gotten an Earthquake off, but it's fine. He goes Registeel, which is also fine, because with the spikes damage, I am able to whittle this thing down with another Last Resort. And again, I could have went Steelix a little bit earlier, but because I figured he was going to go for a counter, I figured I'd get a free switch in there now. And this is actually a pretty good situation for me to be in, because I didn't really calc this, but I kind of had a feeling that regular defensive Steelix, like there's Steelix I would have ran all season, probably wouldn't have been able to kill this Registeel from full, especially if he was max HP, max defense, or at least where he is now. So I figured he would think that I would just go for Earthquake, do whatever damage I could, and he would get a counter off. But he actually doesn't know that I'm like full offense Sheer Force Steelix, not like that really matters here. But because he thinks I'm defensive, he actually just goes for Seismic Toss. I end up actually getting a kill there because he thinks I'm just going to set up rocks, and then he ends up going Sock. At this point, I don't really have a switch in for Sock at all, and I've kind of resigned myself to that fact. I can go Archeops after he ends up killing Steelix here, and just kind of get a revenge bounce off on something, which will be nice. So I end up staying in, not sacking into the close combat, which everyone thought was ridiculous, including me, and ended up getting another kill with Steelix, further showing why Steelix is a god and everyone should draft it all the time, because I love it. So Steelix lives. He ends up going Flygon, gets the kill with Outrage, which is kind of scary because since he went Flygon, I actually can't really go Archeops right now. I think I end up doing it because I, at this point in the battle, forgot that he was Scarfed, which was a huge misplay on my part, because I could have probably just went Kamala and gone for a Last Resort and hoped that I lived or whatever. Now that I know for sure, and I'm painfully reminded that he's Scarfed, I end up going Blaziken. In hindsight, I think I might have actually just been sacking Archeops here because I don't think it would have done very much, especially since it would have only been at 75% when it switched in. So getting back to the battle at hand, I guess. Blaziken's in now, and there's not really a high jump kick switch, so I'm just gonna go for it, I guess. Because I figure this is gonna kill Quag on the switch, of course, because I can't fucking land a high jump kick ever. I miss and end up taking 50%, which is terrible because that doesn't end up killing. Blaziken dies, and now I'm basically just left hoping that Kamala can take an outrage. Maybe if I was more defensive, I could have, but spoilers, I don't, because Flygon actually hits fairly hard. And I'm perfectly happy with losing that game in such a close manner, because I kind of don't think I'd prepped enough for Flygon anyway, so it's kind of fitting that it was just sitting there killing everything left and right. Another great battle with Flooka. I feel like our games are always really fun. And even though I obviously wish I could have won and brought the PU Battleground Championship home, it's okay. If I have to lose to anyone, I'm fine with losing to Flooka. So even though this is the end of the PU Battleground, you guys will, or luckily, you guys will luckily be able to get some new NES action coming very soon. I'm planning on uploading this on January 19th and January 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific or 1 a.m. Eastern. We're going to actually be live streaming our Season 4 draft, as well as kind of just hopping right into Season 4 from there. So, kind of uninterrupted NES action, which is kind of nice. That was one of the main reasons I wanted to really make the championship for the PU Battleground, because it flowed perfectly into just having a video every week for you guys. So I'm pretty excited about that. Thank you guys for coming by. Drop a like and subscribe if you're new, because I do try to upload at least weekly. I'm trying to get better about uploading more, and we'll probably be able to do it a little bit more with this upcoming semester and having more time to record and stuff, just because that ends up working out a little bit better. But anyway, have a good one, guys, and I will see you, I guess, in a couple of days for my draft recap for Season 4, but probably tomorrow for a draft reminder. Later.